And then I asked another obvious question. So why are you doing it? She stared into her coffee for a few seconds before quietly saying, I don't feel like I have permission to stop. That short little conversation stayed with me for days. Not because it was about hosting a family reunion, because of that one sentence. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized she wasn't really talking about the weekend. She was talking about the life she'd been carrying that included traditions and expectations. And maybe you are doing this too. Hi there, I'm Wendy Rimmelsbacher, and welcome to the podcast show Dim to Daring. Do you feel like there's something bigger waiting for you, but you're not sure how to make it happen? You're in the right place. I'm here to bring you inspiring stories, powerful insights, and practical strategies to help you reignite your spark, realign with your purpose, and take those bold steps towards the life you were meant to live. Let's dive in, because you're not finished yet. You're just getting started. Welcome back to Dim to Daring. I'm so glad you're here today. I want to share with you a conversation that stayed with me for weeks. One of those talks that starts out ordinary and ends up cracking something open. And it happened over coffee with a dear friend I'd been looking forward to catching up with. So we were sitting across each other at the table, and she had that familiar look in her eyes. And when you know your friend well enough, it just takes that look to know exactly where she's at. She gave me that look, the one that says, I'm tired, even before we got into our flow of conversation. She took a breath and said, I'm hosting the big family reunion again this year. 15 people, she continued, full weekend, activities for everyone, the whole thing. I gave her my best smile that says, I care about you, and asked what seemed like an obvious question, and maybe even a poor question. Are you looking forward to it? She laughed, but it wasn't the kind of laugh that comes from excitement. It was the laugh we sometimes use to cover disappointment. No, she said quickly. Honestly, I don't even want to do it anymore. And then I asked another obvious question. So why are you doing it? She stared into her coffee for a few seconds before quietly saying, I don't feel like I have permission to stop. That short little conversation stayed with me for days. Not because it was about hosting a family reunion, because of that one sentence. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized she wasn't really talking about the weekend. She was talking about the life she'd been carrying that included traditions and expectations. And maybe you are doing this too. Every one of us carries some level of heavy, invisible weight. Some of it comes from responsibility. Some of it comes from love. But some of it comes from expectations we've simply never questioned. Have you ever caught yourself doing something you no longer wanted to do, but you couldn't imagine being the person who stopped? Maybe it's a volunteer position. Maybe it's hosting every family gathering. Maybe it's saying yes every time someone asks you for help. Maybe it's keeping everyone else's world running while quietly neglecting your own. Sometimes we don't even realize how heavy those expectations have become because we've carried them for so long. They've become part of our identity. Have you ever introduced yourself without saying your name? Think about that. We often introduce ourselves by what we do. It sounds something like this. So, I'm the one who plans the family vacations. I'm the one who hosts the reunions. I'm the one that keeps everyone organized. I'm the one that takes care of my aging parents. I'm the one who always volunteers. Or I'm the one who never misses a deadline. We become known for what we carry. And after a while, we start believing that if we stop carrying those things, we'll lose part of who we are. I don't think my friend was really tired of hosting a family reunion. I think she was tired of believing she had to be the person who always hosted the family reunion. And those are two very different things. Let me explain what I mean by this. There is a difference between carrying something because it aligns with your values and carrying something because you're afraid of what people will think if you put it down. One is love, the other is fear. And sometimes they look remarkably similar from the outside. That's why this conversation matters so much to me, because I don't think most of us are asking the right question. We ask things like, can I handle one more thing? Can I make this work? Can I squeeze it into my schedule? But maybe the better question is this still mine to carry? I used to believe someone would eventually notice how hard I was working, that someone would tell me I'd done enough, that someone would say, Wendy, you've earned a rest. Guess what? It never happened. And eventually I realized I was waiting for permission that no one else could give. And likewise, no one is coming to rescue you from your own obligations. Your family most likely isn't going to gather around and say, you've done enough, take a break. Your boss probably isn't going to tell you to work less. The permission you're waiting for may never arrive. Underneath all of this is a question that has nothing to do with committees or traditions. What we're really asking is, am I allowed to become someone different than the woman everyone is used to? That question, am I allowed to become someone different, doesn't get answered by thinking about it forever. At some point, you have to actually look at what you're carrying. So the next logical question is, where do you start? First of all, you don't have to blow up your whole life, and you don't do it by quitting everything at once. The first step is just to be honest with yourself. Think of it like sorting through your closet. You don't throw out everything. You keep what still fits, what still brings you joy, what still serves the life you're living now. You let go of what you've outgrown. Some commitments are life-giving, and they align with who you are. They ask something of you, but they give something back. Keep all of those. And some commitments still matter, but the shape of them no longer works. And this is where people get tripped up. Maybe the reunion weekend could become a single afternoon. Or how about the volunteer role could become something seasonal instead of weekly? You don't have to abandon the whole thing. You just get to change how you carry it. So modify those types of commitments. And some are just dead weight. Things you agreed to in a different season with a different capacity to give and as a different version of you. Release those. You probably already know which is which. The hard part was never clarity. The hard part, it's permission. So try this. For one thing you're carrying right now, ask yourself, is this still mine to carry? Does it energize you? Or does it drain you? Are you doing it because you want to or because you think you should? If the answer is should, you've found something worth a second look. And it's time to revisit these questions to unclutter your life for your next expansion into your next beautiful version. Stepping into alignment to feel more like you is a beautiful gift to yourself in any season of life. I want to be honest with you, I always will be, about what happens next, because I don't think it helps anyone to pretend this part is easy. People will be surprised. Some will be disappointed, and you might get some pushback. You will probably feel guilty, at least at first. My friend's sister, well, she was annoyed when she said she wasn't hosting this year. And her aunt, she commented on traditions dying. For about a week, she second-guessed herself. She didn't over-explain things. She just said, "Not this year," and let the silence sit. Now, it wasn't natural to say it this succinctly, and it felt very uncomfortable. But here's what actually happened. Her brother and his wife stepped up. And it was a blessing for her and for them. Now, was it done the same way? No. Did that matter? No, not even a little bit. It was different, and it was wonderfully fun. My friend, she showed up rested. She actually enjoyed herself. She left with energy instead of leaving empty. By the next family gathering, no one even brought it up. The version of the fallout she'd imagined in her head, it lasted about a week, and then it was just gone. She told me not long ago, when we revisited this, I spent years imprisoned by an obligation no one actually cared about as much as I feared they did. I was my own jailer. I think that's true for most of us. We hold ourselves hostage to expectations that live mostly in our minds. Will some people be upset when you set a boundary? Maybe. But the people who love you will adjust. And the people who only valued you for what you did for them, well, now you know that too. That discomfort you feel when you first say no, it's not a sign you're doing something wrong. It's the feeling of becoming someone who honors her own limits. It's supposed to feel unfamiliar. That's how you know it's new. So here's what I want to invite you to do. And not someday, but this week. I want you to finish this one sentence. I give myself permission to fill in the blank. So maybe it's permission to disappoint someone. Maybe it's permission to simply rest. Maybe it's permission to dream again. Maybe it's permission to become someone new that you've been envisioning for a while now. Whatever it is, sign your own name. Write it down. Say it out loud, even if you feel a little silly doing it. Let it sink in. You don't have to release everything at once. Start with this one sentence and build muscle. See what a little space feels like. Now, I know some of you. You've written that sentence in your head 100 times, and the sentence was never the hard part. The hard part is knowing what to actually say to the person out loud without over-explaining or apologizing your way out of it. That truly is the hard part. So let me give you the words so you don't have to find them on your own. It can be as simple as, I love this family, and this year I need this to look different. Or, I love doing this, and I'm ready to hand it to someone else for a while. Or even just, I can't take this on right now. I want you to notice what's missing from these sentences. There's no justification. There's no apology tour, and there's no 3 paragraphs of guilt explaining why you're allowed to feel this way. Just the truth, simply stated, like it doesn't require a defense, because it doesn't. And here's the part I want you to actually do. So not just think about it, because that's where we get stopped, but tell one person this week. Now, not the whole family, and certainly not a group text. Just tell one person you trust, a friend, your partner, someone in this community. Tell them what you're releasing, and say it out loud to another human being before the end of the week. Because a decision you only make in your head is easy to quietly abandon by Thursday. And a decision you've said out loud to someone else has a witness. And you, of all people, know what it means to follow through once someone's watching. If you're exhausted by things that were never really yours to begin with, I want you to hear this. You are allowed to change your mind. You are allowed to outgrow commitments. You are allowed to pass the baton to someone else. None of that requires a vote. It just requires you. You don't have to earn permission to become the person you're meant to be. So this week, finish the sentence. Just one. And if you know someone who's quietly carrying too much, send them this episode. Sometimes we need someone else to say it out loud before we believe it's true for us. If you've been with me these last couple of episodes, you know we've been building towards this moment. Karen Fullerton showed us what it looks like to reset and find joy in presence again. Anne Gerenstrom showed us what's possible when we're willing to reinvent and do work that actually means something. But possibility doesn't mean much if you don't believe you're allowed to reach for it. That's what today was about. Anne and Karen showed you what's possible. My job was to help you clear the thing standing between you and it. And more often than not, that thing is permission. So what if, instead of adding more to your plate, you took something off it? What if you let yourself release what's no longer serving you? What if the world didn't fall apart the way you feared it would? I think about my friend now, sitting back at that reunion table, laughing, actually present, leaving with energy to spare instead of nothing left to give. That image has stayed with me because that's what becomes possible when you stop carrying the weight that was never yours to carry. You deserve that too. Not someday in the future, today. Permission isn't coming, so give it to yourself. And once you do, once you've actually signed your name to that sentence, a new question tends to show up right behind it. Okay, but why did I ever need permission in the first place? That's exactly where we're headed next time when we talk about the difference between proving and peace. Until next time, keep moving from dim to daring. Thank you so much for joining me today on Dim to Daring. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love it if you subscribed, shared it with a friend, or left a review. It helps more women just like you discover the show. Remember, you're not finished yet, you're just getting started. Until next time, keep daring to grow and shine.